Alright guys, so we are going to be creating this motion design. I saw this Rabbi video they created for Google, and I thought of why not let me create these first few frames. You know, I one thing about this video is attractive, and apart from it being attractive, it's simple. There's no complexity on the video, and it's clear. The information that they want to pass across to the viewers is quite simple and direct. You understand what they are trying to communicate. So yes, without any further ado, let's jump into After Effects. Let me walk you through how I created my own version. So this is my own version, right? So yes, so let's jump into the main comp. This is the main comp. So there are three phases for my own creation. So I created the search. Here you search how much is rent in UK. Then we have like the results, and here is where you select locations, the location you want to. I just added this to it. All right, so let's jump into this main comp, this session comp. So as you can see, it's actually simple. Let me change the background color to white so you can see it very well. So it's actually simple. The main thing here is the typing animation, the typing animation. Then some aesthetics, the glow, the stroke, and this AI mode, right? Every other thing is basic. There's no complexity on it. So what I did for the typing is the type animation. I use a plugin called Type. You can get it from AE Script. So basically what this helps you do is to help you create a typing animation, and also it also gives you this icon. You can actually change this icon to anything of your choice. For example, if I create a square box, right, I can parent this to so I can parent this test box to the blinking icon, which is this stroke. So if I parent it to this, I can hide that. So this particular box do the blinking stuff, so this is it. So that's one of the things I like about this particular plugin. So basically that's what I did, right? Simple text animations. Then you see as it's typing, you have like a two color, the black and the blue color. So if we go inside the text animation, you see I created, apart from the typing animation we have, I created another animator, and this animator only carries the color, so you can actually do that by coming to this animate and go to fill RGB, right? So once you click this, you get your own color. Then you can change it to whatsoever color of your choice. You can change it to a single color of your choice. So what I did was, as it's typing, right, as it's typing at this point, I had to animate it out, right? So you notice that the color itself, let me off this so that I add a different one so you see the difference. Okay, so you see for this now, the whole text carries the red color, right? But on the one I did, the color only show in one particular character, right? What I did was, let me go back to this. So on the range selector, instead of it to be at 0, the start to be at 0, I increase it a bit so that it will only fit into a particular segment of that text. So when you type, it will only be on that part. It will not be on all the characters of that particular text, right? So that's what I did. Then at the end, where the text almost finished typing, I animated the offset. Right, so I animated the offset to fit, to match what I'm doing, right? So that it will not be, it will not still be there, right? So that's what I did. So as you can see, so this is what it is. Yeah, so that's how I made that extra color, the blue color to the text. So basically on this particular part, this is where the main animation is. This is where we have the main animation. So then you can, as you can see, we have like a scale. We scale in the whole scene, so it looks like two camera kind of view. So on that part, what I did was to create a null object. I parented the whole scene to this null object, this particular null object, so I can move everything, right? So I parent the whole scene to this particular null object. Then at the beginning, I added an animation on the position parameter. So this is the animation I added. So it starts at a very high. It starts at a very high speed and then slow down a bit. So start and so that's how I made that. Then for the transition to the other camera, so actually it was not like camera per se, but just the null object I animated. So for this null object, I increased the size or the amount to like 333, so it will fill up the screen and makes it look as if it's a different camera. So then on the next frame, I just reduce it to 114. So we have like so it looks like a different camera. I hope you guys understand. So it's not like I use a camera just to fake that two type of camera stuff. Then after the typing is done, I animated it out with the position. So I animated it out. So remember, I parent this is like the main node. Then I parent it to another null object, so that this will carry the extra. I would have done it here, but I don't know why I actually did that, but it's fine as long as it solved the problem. So that's how I made this animation, right? Then for the extra aesthetics that you're seeing, like the stroke, it's simple. You guys, you already know. It's a simple animation I did. So from the main shape layer that we created, that we carried the text, I duplicated it, then create some strokes from it, right? So these are the strokes that I created. Then I just animated them with this trim parts, right? I just work on the offsets, animated them a bit and stuff like that. Then I duplicated each of these strokes. I brought them behind the main shape layer that we've created. Then what I did was to add deep glow to each one of them and stuff like that. That is how I got this glow effect at the background, right? Remember, we already have some of the stroke on top. Then I duplicated them, then brought them behind this BG. So that's how I created that stroke. Then one other thing that actually looks a bit technical was this AI mode. If you look at it, let me open the main comp. So if you look at this, you will see that this is actually the main animation here, right? And as you can see, you notice that as I'm animating the stroke, the color itself is following the path of that stroke. So it's not like a clip mask stroke. So if, for example, I create a new, okay, I've created this already. So let me say this is a shape layer, and I added a grid, and I added a gradient color to it. And if I animate this, I've already done a little bit of animation here. You will see that it's as if the color itself or the gradient is clip masked inside the stroke, right? So, but that's not what we are looking for. Do you get it? That's not what we are looking for. We want the color to move along that particular path, right? So, if for us to achieve that, so I created a couple of effects on top of each other. So, if I solo this and let me off this. So, what I did was add a box blur. Right before I add this box blur, there's something. Let me take this out. So we have like a two stroke on this particular layer. So once you have that, so you can duplicate the same stroke. So for the first stroke the color is white. You taper, you increase the start length of the first stroke to have this blending, right? Like you blend from black to white, right? To have that particular style. But for the second stroke, I didn't add any of that to it, so it's just the way it is, right? Then what I did next was, let me call this main stroke for clarity. So what I did next was to add a blur effect to it. So this is the so you see this is the blur, but it's no longer useful for what we want to create. So I added this blur. Then the next thing to bring out bring back the shape of the stroke, I added this composite effect to it. So you can just go to your effect and preset and type all of these effects, they will come out. So for the top layer of this composite, I left it where it is. So I didn't choose any other layer apart from the main layer that I'm working on. So once you set it, don't try to go and pick another shape layer and stuff like that. Just leave it at the main stroke that you already have. Then the transfer mode, I set it to stencil alpha, right? If you put it at something else, this is what it will give you. You try something different. So just put it at stencil alpha. So we now have back the shape of our stroke. But the next problem that we face is that the stroke is not transparent. So if I turn off this transparency, you see that it's transparent. It's not as thick as what we plan to have. It's not as thick as this. So the next thing I did was to add a level to it. So for this level helped me to bring back the actual thickness. So to take out that particular transparency, right? Then so for the levels, instead of RGB, we took it from RGB to alpha, right? So then we now adjust this parameter so that we can get back the actual shape and remove the transparency from it. So that's what I did there. Then for the next one was colorama effect. So these colors, right? They're actually from the Google logo. So I just had to pick some of these colors here. So in case you want to, you can see the arrangements. You can actually do it the way it pleases you, stuff like that. But these are actually the colors I use from the Google logo itself, right? So that's for that. The one other effect that I turned on is this interpolate. So by the time you are done with all of your setting, you need to turn on this interpolate palette so that it has this blending. It blends from one color to the other. So if I take it out, you see we have like some sharp edges. So just turn this on so that you have a perfect blend of colors. Then the last thing, of course, what I did was to add the deep glow effect to it, and that makes the whole difference, right? So at this time, if I animate, the colors follows the stroke part, So that's how I created this particular animation, right? So that's how we made this. and then we go to the next scene. Right, so on this next scene is simple. So the question I asked here, how much is rent? So I had to go to Google to type that as well and copy the information from Google. Then I created some of these designs, you know. Then the logo, of course, I downloaded the logo. I didn't create it from scratch. So I created all of this so it looks exactly how Google website looks like when you do your search. So yes, so this is what I got. So for the animation here, so if you take note, let me highlight the test. So what I did was still the same test animation. So what I did here was to animate the test in. So there are two layers to this, right? This upper layer, change the color from black to blue, something like this. Then I reduce the opacity. Right, that is for these two. Then I added some kind of shiny effects. Let me just put this. So I added some kind of shiny effect, as you can see, just to add a little touch to it based on the reference video we are working on. So just to have that, as you can see, it's not something that should be too much, just very subtle kind of animation like that. So I just animated it across the test. Then I track mark it to one of the tests. I duplicated the test again, and I track mark it to it. So that's for that. Then for the highlighting, what I did to highlight the amount, the 500 pounds or so. Okay, what I did was to create a shape layer, then animate it as the mouse pointer. The mouse pointer is doing its thing. We animate it in a way that it's highlighting, so it will look like the mouse pointer is the one highlighting that, right? Okay, so let me show you guys what I did on this particular shape layer. So let me call this highlighter. Right, so for this highlighter, what I did was to create a shape layer. Right, let me create a different column. So once I create that, I select the rectangle part, then convert to Bezier part, right? So on this Bezier, on this part, so there's this plugin that comes with After Effects, create node from part, right? Create node from part. So if you go to your Windows, you see the create node from parts. So what I did was to click on this part, then click on point follows node. So once I click that, it will create for each of these points, it will parent itself to a particular node, so I can adjust this and do it the way I really want. So that's how I created that. Then for each of them, I parent, for this one, I parent one of these to this, so that this can control this face, right? Then for this one, I parent one of them to this, so this can control this face as well. So as the mouse, let's go back to result. So as the mouse is animating, I'm animating that. So I'm animating this, as you can see, I'm animating it to flow with that hand movement. So with that, it's select. So I just added some kind of little extra to it, so nothing too complex. So for the mouse itself, what I did was to create it with element 3D, right? So this is the shapes, right? So I created a max from the mouse hand. Then on element 3D, I went to the custom, then I select on the custom test. So you can actually animate test or mask, right? So I select the marks that I've created, this number 3 and number 4 on the part. Then in Blender, in the scene setup, once you click on the scene setup, it will take you to its own particular interface, right? Where you can now uh, extrude your part. So once you click on extrude, okay, so once you click on extrude, this will come up. Then I click again. Then for the custom part, I change it from that part 1 to part 2. So I can now say for this, I can come here and reduce the extrusion bit. So let me, I'll need to group. I need to add these guys to a group so that they'll be on one folder. So this is how I made this. So I reduced the extrusion of the black stroke. Then I just adjust it so it will not be too fat. It will not be too fat or something. It will not be too thick. So that's how I made this. Then I just add this shiny texture to it. So nothing too complex. So if I go to the material basic settings, then the reflection, I increase the reflection a bit. Same for this. So that's how I made this particular mouse pointer, right? So then I created a node from this group 1. So probably I might need to do an in-depth tutorial on Element 3D. So I created a group node from this group. And remember, what we did was to add this particular mouse to a group inside. So let me take this one out. So this is what we are working with. So it's on a group 1, right? There are different groups there. So I put it on group 1. So we are working with group 1. So I created this node object to control the position and the rotation of the mouse. So you can actually do as you wish. So I located them a bit. So for the rotation, the position, this is start animation. Then there are rotations that I added to it. So just to mimic, just to add some aesthetics to it. Nothing too serious, nothing too complex. It's just simple rotation that I added to it. If probably you have any question, please just drop your question in the comment section. So that's how I created this particular test animation or this result animation. So the next thing that we have there is the last animation, right? To choose your location. So if we go into the composition, we have this. Yeah. So I had to separate all the characters for the shoes. So we have different, I separated them differently. But if you look at this, you see like a bounce kind of effect for the shoes, right? A bounce kind of effect. Nothing complex. So let me go inside. So for this, for each of the character, I have to separate the position. So if I click on position, you see we have the X and Y axis. So if I create another text, for example, choose, and I click on P on my keyboard, you see that the X and Y axis, they are in one. They are together here. So what I did was to select the position and click separate dimension so that I can have access to just one of the axes which I want to animate, which is the Y axis, right? So that's what. So if we go inside the graph editor, you'll see what I did here. So it's something very simple, nothing too fancy. So then I added a little bounce effect to the Y axis. So this plugin I used was this mobile and elastic motion. So I reduce, once you add it, I reduce the the overshooting a bit to like 41, so it's not too bouncy. So that's what I did. I duplicated that particular effect. For the offset, for the C and H, they come first, then the 2O come second, just like that, so that they don't start at the same time, right? Then I now parent these shoes to this null number 9. That's what will drive the rest of the animation, right? Then for the null number 9, I parent it, so there's a lot of parenting. So the reason for this is just to create some kind of flexibility, right? Just to create some kind of flexibility. So this, now let's look for the one that is okay. So this, there are a lot of things happening here, but you guys, you understand the jerk, right? So I just animate it out and blah. So what I did for this part is, for the location and your location, I parent them to a different null object, which is this null number 9, right? I parent it to a different location, I parent it to a different null object, so that I can have control over it, So this is what I did. Then for this shoes already is on its own particular null object, which is null number 8. Then this null number 7 is the final node that controls everything, right? So that's how, at this point, I had to animate this to this side and this to the other side. So we have like the locations, Manchester and stuff like that. So that's how I created this particular animation. So remember, the null for this is separate and the null for the shoes is separate. Then we have the overall null, which is the null number 7 at layer number 7, which is null number 8 as well. So that's will control the whole movement, right? Then for the location, it's actually a simple kind of animation that I did. I created my test, make a couple of duplicates for the test. So if I take this out, so we have like a bunch of names or locations. So then for the mouse, once the mouse click, we change the name from Manchester to Liverpool. As it clicks again, we change it to Cambridge. We click again and it comes to the point it selects, and that's how I created this particular animation. Nothing too serious, simple kind of animation like that. So yeah, so that's what I did here. So after this whole stuff, so I animated this in with simple animation, just scale, position and rotation. So the bouncy effect that you see on the location was done on the rotation, with same effect, this elastic guy. So just to give it that little bounce effect, so it's like drops in from nowhere. Yeah. So we select and blah 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 blah. So that's how I made this whole animation. Please, if you're not subscribed to this channel, please try and subscribe to this channel. It will help me and encourage me to create more feature tutorials. And please don't forget to turn on the notification bell, so in case I post a new tutorial, you will be the first to know. Yeah, till we meet again, thank you for your time. Peace.